Did you know that about 40% of your daily actions are not decisions, but habits? Yes, you heard it right. Habits are like the invisible architecture of our lives, shaping our actions, our behaviors, and ultimately, our future. They are those automatic routines that govern our day-to-day experiences, often without us even realizing it. From the way we brush our teeth in the morning to the route we take to work or school, habits are everywhere. So, why are we talking about habits? Because understanding the power of habits can lead us to make small changes that can bring about significant transformations in our lives. This video aims to delve into the fascinating world of habits, how they're formed, their impact, and most importantly, how we can change them for the better. Remember, understanding your habits is the first step towards changing them. Habits are automatic behaviors that we perform without thinking. These are the routines that punctuate our daily lives, the repeated patterns of behavior that become so ingrained, we do them without conscious effort. A habit is like a well-trodden path in our brain. With each repetition, this path becomes more defined, making the behavior easier and more automatic. Think about it. The way you brush your teeth, the route you take to work, checking your phone first thing in the morning, these are all habitual behaviors. They've become so natural that you barely notice them, but they have a profound impact on your life. Habits aren't inherently good or bad. A habit of regular exercise can boost your health and well-being. Conversely, a habit of reaching for sugary snacks when stressed can lead to health issues. Essentially, habits can greatly shape our lives for better or worse. Our brains are wired to form habits. This isn't just a saying, but a scientific fact. Habits are formed and stored in a part of our brain called the basal ganglia. This region is responsible for memory, emotion, and pattern recognition. When we perform an action over and over, the basal ganglia recognizes the pattern and stores it as a habit. Now let's talk about the brain's reward system. It's like a personal cheerleader encouraging us to repeat actions that make us feel good. Dopamine, a neurotransmitter, plays a key role here. When we perform an action we enjoy, our brain releases dopamine, creating a sense of pleasure. Over time, our brain associates that action with the feel-good dopamine rush, motivating us to repeat the action. This is why we often find ourselves reaching for that extra slice of cake or scrolling through social media late at night. But why are habits so hard to break? Well, the basal ganglia, along with the brain's reward system, are powerful forces. They're designed to automate actions, freeing up our brain to focus on other tasks. This means once a habit is formed, it's deeply ingrained in our neural pathways. Changing it requires conscious effort and often a lot of time. Habits aren't always bad though, they can be beneficial too. Think about habits like brushing your teeth, exercising regularly, or making your bed each morning. These actions over time contribute to good health and well-being. They become automatic, saving us time and mental energy. However, detrimental habits also exist. These are actions that harm our health, relationships, or productivity over time. Excessive snacking, procrastination, or constantly checking your phone are just a few examples. Despite knowing the negative outcomes, we often find ourselves stuck in these habit loops, thanks to our brain's reward system. But here's the silver lining. Just as our brains are wired to form habits, they're also capable of changing them. Neuroplasticity, or the brain's ability to reorganize itself, allows us to replace old habits with new ones. It's not an easy task, but with understanding and persistence, it's entirely possible. Understanding the science behind habits can help us change them. By understanding how habits form and how our brain's reward system works, we can better equip ourselves to break the cycle of detrimental habits and cultivate beneficial ones. To change your habits, you first need to identify them. So let's dive into how to spot the patterns that shape our lives. It starts with a keen sense of self-awareness. You need to pause, reflect, and take note of the actions you repeat daily. These could be as simple as reaching for your phone first thing in the morning, or always taking the same route to work. Consider the story of Alice, a successful entrepreneur. She realized that she was spending too much time on social media, which was eating into her productivity. Alice started keeping a log of her daily activities, and soon the patterns emerged. She was able to identify her habit and took steps to change it. This approach can work for you too. Keep a habit journal and you'll start to see patterns emerge. Once you have identified your habits, you can decide which ones you want to change or improve. Identifying your habits is the first step towards changing them. Let's dive into the habit loop: cue, routine, and reward. This simple yet powerful framework helps us make sense of why we do what we do and how we can change it. Picture this: every morning your alarm rings, that's the cue. You hit the snooze button, that's the routine, and you get a few more minutes of sleep, that's the reward. This is a classic example of a habit loop in action. The cue triggers the routine, and the reward reinforces the habit, making it more likely to occur again. But the habit loop isn't just about morning routines. It's at work in many aspects of our lives, from our eating habits to our exercise patterns and even our social interactions. Think about the last time you checked your phone. What prompted you to do it? Was it a notification or just a moment of boredom? That's your cue. The routine is reaching for your phone and scrolling through your apps. And the reward? Maybe it's a new message, a like on your post, or simply the distraction from whatever you were doing. Now here's the fascinating part. The habit loop isn't just a sequence of actions. It's a cycle that's deeply ingrained in our brains. The brain, a master of efficiency, uses the habit loop as a way to save effort. Once a habit is formed, the brain stops fully participating in decision-making. It's like putting the brain on autopilot, allowing it to focus on other tasks. But here's the silver lining. Just as the habit loop can be our downfall, it can also be our salvation. By understanding how the habit loop works, we can hack it to our advantage. We can consciously identify the cues and rewards that drive our habits and change the routines that aren't serving us. In other words, we can replace bad habits with good ones, or strengthen the good habits we already have. And that's a powerful tool to have in our self-improvement toolbox. By understanding the habit loop, we can begin to change our habits. Because change, as they say, begins with understanding. And understanding our habits is the first step towards transforming our lives. Changing habits is challenging, but possible. This line is a beacon of hope for anyone who's ever struggled with breaking free from a habit loop. The path to change might be steep, but it's definitely navigable. Let's dive into some practical tips and strategies for changing habits. First things first, identify the habit you want to change. Be specific. Instead of saying, "I want to be healthier," say, "I want to replace my afternoon candy bar with a piece of fruit." Clear, measurable goals are easier to track and achieve. Next, understand your triggers. What cues the habit you're trying to change? Is it stress, boredom, the presence of certain people? Identifying these triggers can help you anticipate them and prepare for a healthier response. Now let's talk about substituting. Instead of trying to eliminate a habit entirely, try replacing it with a more beneficial one. If your habit is to reach for a soda when you're thirsty, try reaching for a glass of water instead. It's easier for our brains to swap out routines than to stop them entirely. Remember that it's okay to start small. If you're trying to exercise more, start with just a few minutes a day. Tiny victories can build momentum and make the task seem less daunting. Finally, track your progress. Keep a journal, use an app, or simply mark off days on a calendar. Visualizing your progress can be a powerful motivator and a reminder of how far you've come. But remember, changing habits isn't a linear process. There will be setbacks and slip-ups. That's okay. It's part of the journey. What's important is to keep going. Persistence is key. And don't forget to celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Rewarding yourself for progress can reinforce the new habits you're trying to establish and make the process more enjoyable. In the end, it's all about taking control of your actions, one habit at a time. Because every small change you make can have a big impact on your life. Remember, small changes can lead to big transformations. So embark on this journey of transformation with confidence and determination. You've got this. Let's hear some inspiring success stories. Consider James, once a chronic procrastinator who transformed his life by setting a simple morning ritual. Then there's the case of the Smith family who replaced their evening TV time with a walk in the park, leading to healthier bodies and stronger bonds. Or reflect on the tech startup that started a no emails after 6 policy, resulting in happier, more balanced employees. These stories show that change is possible. Let's recap what we've learned today. Habits, the automatic actions we perform daily, hold immense power over our lives. The science behind habits reveals the intricate habit loop of cue, routine, and reward. By identifying and understanding our own habits, we can harness this power to instigate change. Small shifts in our routines can lead to significant transformations. So, let's take action. Start identifying your habits, make those small changes, and watch your life transform. Thank you for watching. Remember, the power to change your life lies in your habits.